You're standing in the shower, the water's running, and somewhere between washing your face and zoning out completely, you're not here anymore. You're in a courtroom, and you're winning. Maybe it's a conversation with someone who hurt you 3 years ago. Maybe it's a speech you're giving where everyone finally understands you. Maybe it's a version of your life where things went differently, where you said the right thing, made the right choice, walked away at the right moment. And it feels real, not like a daydream, not like a little fantasy. It feels like a place you actually went to. Then something pulls you back, a noise, a notification, and just like that, the courtroom disappears. The imaginary audience is gone, and you're just standing there, cold water running, wondering how long you were actually gone. If that hit a little too close to home, good. Because what's happening inside your mind isn't what most people think it is. It's not creativity. It's not boredom. The psychology behind it is far darker, far deeper, and far more interesting than anyone is telling you, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Here's what's actually going on inside your brain when you disappear into fake scenarios. Your brain has something called the default mode network. Think of it like a background program that runs automatically the moment you stop focusing on the outside world. The second your attention drifts, this network activates, and it starts doing something very specific. It starts generating you, your memories, your fears, your regrets, your imagined futures, your rehearsed conversations. It's not random. It's your brain doing exactly what it was built to do, simulate. But here's where the dark psychology begins. In some people, this simulation doesn't stay in the background, it moves to the front. The brain starts treating the internal world as more rewarding than the external one, and once that switch flips, reality starts feeling thin, flat, like something important is missing from it. A clinical psychologist named Professor Eli Sommer identified this pattern formally in 2002. He called it maladaptive daydreaming, and what he found was disturbing. People weren't just daydreaming for a few minutes. They were spending hours, sometimes the majority of their waking day, living inside narratives they had built entirely in their own minds, full worlds, recurring characters, storylines that evolved over months and years, and almost every single one of them had one thing in common. The fake world was giving them something the real world never did, not escape, not laziness, something much more specific, control. In the imagined scenario, you control the outcome, you control what the other person says, you control whether you win or lose, you can rewind, you can redo, you can make someone finally understand you in a way the actual person in your life never quite did, and your brain remembers that feeling. So it goes back, again and again and again. But there's something darker underneath all of this, something the research points to that most people never talk about. The people most prone to this, they're not weak, they're not broken. Statistically, they are people who at some point in their life needed an exit door, and the real world wasn't providing one. Maybe their environment wasn't safe. Maybe they were chronically lonely. Maybe they were just a little too sensitive for the world they were placed in, and so the mind, in its incredible adaptive way, built a door, built a room, built an entire world where things could finally make sense. The fake scenario wasn't the problem. It was the solution. Now, here's where it gets genuinely dangerous, because the brain is a learning machine, and what it learns very quickly is this. Emotional needs can be met internally. You don't need the messy, unpredictable, painful experience of real human connection. You can just simulate it, perfectly, on your own terms. And the moment that learning becomes strong enough, something shifts. Real life starts to feel worse than the alternative. Think about it. Real conversations don't go the way you scripted them. Real people are unpredictable. Real intimacy is slow and terrifying and involves sitting with uncertainty for long, uncomfortable stretches of time. Real confrontations don't give you a clean resolution, but the fake scenario, it never disappoints you that way. So you keep going back. And then comes the part nobody warns you about, the shame spiral. You're 40 minutes deep into a scenario. You know time is passing. You know the world kept moving while you were gone. And when you resurface, There's this feeling, hard to name but easy to recognize, a mix of guilt, embarrassment, and something that feels almost like a hangover. And before you've even consciously decided anything, you're already halfway back in. Because the shame feeds the need deepens the habit, and the habit slowly starts taking up more and more of the space where your actual life is supposed to be happening. Real relationships don't get built, real conversations don't happen, real goals don't get pursued, because in the fake world, you already did all of it, perfectly. And this is the dark psychology that nobody talks about accurately. It's not about imagination, it's not about creativity. It's a coping mechanism that started as a survival tool and quietly became a trap. The most dangerous part, from the inside, it never feels like a trap. It feels like relief.
So what do you do with all of this? First, understand this clearly. Nothing about you is broken. The fact that your mind built an entire world with emotional depth, complex characters, and real narrative, that is not a flaw. That is an extraordinary capability. Most people cannot do what you do. The internal richness you carry is genuine. It is real. The only question is it still serving you? Or has it started costing you something? And this is where you have to be honest with yourself. Not harsh. Not judgmental. Just honest. Because the goal is not to destroy your inner world. The goal is not to become someone who never disappears into their own head. The research doesn't support that. And it doesn't make psychological sense either. The real goal is to understand what the fake scenario is doing for you, and then slowly, sometimes awkwardly, start building some of that in reality. What does the imagined version of that conversation give you, that you're too afraid to ask for out loud? What does the fantasy version of resolution give you, that you're not allowing yourself to actually pursue? What is the scenario rehearsing, that you're too scared to actually live? Here are 3 practical steps the psychology actually supports. Step 1, name the need, not the habit. Every time you catch yourself going into a fake scenario, don't judge it. Ask what it's giving you. Control? Validation? Safety? Connection? That need is real, even if the scenario isn't. Step 2, create one small moment of reality that meets that need. If the scenario gives you control, find one small area of your real life where you can exercise real control. If it gives you connection, reach out to one person, even imperfectly. Step 3, give your inner world an outlet. Write. Speak. Create something. The internal richness you have is not meant to stay invisible. It never was. Because here's the truth that the dark psychology eventually leads you to. The tragedy isn't that you imagined so deeply. The tragedy is that somewhere along the way, you decided that depth was only safe when it was invisible. And it doesn't have to stay that way. If this video made you stop and recognize something in yourself, something quiet, something you've never quite had words for, I want you to know that recognition itself is the first step. You adapted in silence. In private. In a way nobody ever saw or gave you credit for. That matters. And if you're ready to understand yourself even deeper, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the psychology we explore here, it's not surface level. It never is. See you in the next one.